there folks, welcome back to my channel, and for this video, with it being Black History Month, I thought I would make a wee video talking about a wee challenge that I've set myself. And it's something that I had started to set myself last year, and which I want to continue into this year and beyond. And that essentially is to try and read as much fiction as I can by Black authors. And I have made something of a start. Again, there is so much more that I could do, so much more that I can read. So again, definitely something that I do need to work on. But before I do get into that main body of the video, if you enjoy my videos, if you enjoy my channel, if you can click on the subscribe button, click on that notification bell, leave some likes, leave some comments, it's always really appreciated. And if you'd like to support the channel further, I will post a link to the channel's ko-fi.com page and the PayPal account in the description bar below and in the pinned comment in the comments section. So with that out of the roads, on to the main body of the video. So again, as I've said, I have made at least something of a start on this challenge, and I've at least read some fiction by Black authors. And I would say it's been sort of varied so far, like with the authors that I've read. All the books that I have read so far I have really enjoyed, and which I probably will read again. To start with, I think I've already done a video on this book. It's called Augustine by Kei Miller, who is from a Jamaican background. I think it originally is from Jamaica, but has spent a lot of time in Glasgow. And I think I read this book last year. So the book I'd read was, as I was saying, it's called Augustine, and it's set in Jamaica. And it's such an emotive read, and it's just told in such powerful language that I just couldn't put this book down. And it's very emotional, very heartfelt, and it's just one of those books that I think should be on everyone's to read list, and as far as I'm concerned, should just be like one of those books that everyone should be talking about. So that was one of the books I started with, and one of my friends has known about me trying to do this challenge, so she has actually given me a couple of books as presents as part to try and help me along. And one of those books that she gave me, which is another classic, it's an obvious classic, it's The Colour Purple by Alice Walker. Obviously been made into a movie with like Whoopi Goldberg, and I'm sure Whoopi Goldberg's in it. I know Oprah's in it. And again, set in the American Deep South, set between the wars, and it's one of those good books that, again, I grew up hearing about The Colour Purple. I grew up knowing about it, and when I actually sat down to read it, yeah, it's totally understandable why it is a classic, and why it's one of those good books that will always stand the test of time. And yeah, so that's definitely one that I really enjoyed reading. Again, very hard-hitting, very difficult to read in places, but the way that Alice Walker writes it, she does not waver from the story. It's a story that obviously had to be told, had to be heard, and the way that Alice Walker writes it, you get the emotion, you get the story, it's one of those good books that I will now be recommending to as many people as I can. Again, people probably will think, oh, but it's a classic, everyone knows about it. But there's probably quite a few people out there who haven't read it, haven't thought of reading it, but if they do read it, will utterly love it. And another epic, another classic and very hard-hitting novel by an African-American author is Roots by Alex Haley. Again, this is the second book that my friend gave me as a present, because I think she'd read it as a teenager, and she's admitted that she might have been a bit too young to read it when she was a teenager, but she has revisited it and reread it as an adult, and it's one of the books that I know will always stay with her. But it's essentially very much had an influence on her, and I can totally understand why, even though it's essentially, for those who don't know, and there's probably quite a few people out there who do know, it is a family history. It's essentially Alex Haley was looking into his family history and was following it back and managed to trace his family history back to the slave that was brought from Africa called Kunta Kinte, and essentially was the patriarch of his ancestors. And again, it's one of those books that is understandably a classic. It's one of those books that, yeah, should, again, as I've said before, should be a book that has to be read. Because again, it very much does shed a light on a very dark piece of history through the telling of a family history, that you're getting glimpses of what's happening on a larger scale, on a more kind of national scale, and but through the eyes of a family. And again, it's brutal in places, hard-hitting in places, but again, does not shy away from some of the things, well, a lot of the things that happened, a lot of the brutality, a lot of the utter darkness that took place during essentially the events of the book. So yeah, I do definitely appreciate the fact that my friends got me Roots, got me to read it, and yeah, it's one book that I will very likely return to and reread at some point. So the next book I'm going to be talking about is probably less of an obvious one to mention, but one that I have noticed being talked about a lot more by a lot of black people on Book Talk and on BookTube, and that essentially is Alexandre Dumas, who is obviously famous for writing The Three Musketeers and The Man in the Iron Mask. And yeah, Dumas was a French author, but he was also biracial. He was the son and grandson of slaves, and it was his father, who was called Thomas Dumas, but was known to his friends as Alex Dumas, who became, I think it was the highest ranking black general in the French army until the 20th century, and actually fought under the command of Napoleon Bonaparte. And from what I've read of him, was a total badass, and actually inspired a lot of events and actions that took place in The Three Musketeers. So, especially with the Napoleon movie coming out with Joaquin Phoenix, I really do hope the fact that they bring up Thomas Dumas' father, because again, an historical figure that not many people know about, but actually inspired some of the most famous French literature ever. So it has been a few years since I read The Three Musketeers, So this is one that is definitely due a reread, especially now that I do know a hell of a lot more about Dumas and his background and how that actually went on to inspire his work. So I do have another of Dumas' books that I actually really want to read this year. It's the Count of Monte Cristo. And again, you look at the size of it, it's probably about twice the length of The Three Musketeers. But again, it is a total French classic, and it is one that I've had sitting on my shelf for far too long. I need to read it. And I thought I'd add it to the challenge of reading books by Black authors. And again, I do enjoy French fiction, so I'll hopefully make it a wee bit easier, quite a bit more enjoyable. So that's one that I definitely try and read this year. Not sure how long it will take me, because again, taking into account the size and the fact that I do tend to be a slow reader with the fact that I'm dyslexic, so yeah, but one that I will very likely enjoy. And one that I came across, right, it was, a lot of times I will go into places like Waterstones to get my books, or into local secondhand bookshops like Abbey Books to get reading material. But I randomly came across one in Morrison's of all places, like the supermarket, because they do have a little section where they do sell books. A lot of them is not really to my taste, but I did see one that just kind of jumped out at me, and it's called An American Marriage by, I do hope I'm pronouncing her name right, it's Tayari Jones. So essentially it follows the life of a newlywed couple, and how it essentially a life is brought down crashing around them after a wrongful arrest. So it does look like it would be a really interesting read. And after that, I do just love the cover as well. Just very simple but to the point and quite eye-catching at the same time. So another one for me to read. And this one is one I did actually pick up Waterstones. And so that is, it's the Famished Road by Ben Okri. And again, I do just love the cover for this one. It's just the colours, the composition of it. It's like very emotive, very simple. Just draws your eye and just draws your attention towards it. So again, it very much deals with like poverty and injustice and a lot of there's a lot of kind of hard topics that kind of do need to be kind of looked at in depth. But again, the fact that it did win the Booker Prize back in 1991 does bode very well. It does look like it'll be a very good read. And yeah, so these will be some of the books that I probably will be looking at some point later on this year. Hopefully get back into my stride reading wise, because again, last year was a bit of a drought for me reading wise. Quite a slow year for me, and quite a slow year for me as well, as a writer as well. Didn't really get much writing done, but hopefully, fingers crossed, I will get back into my stride in both aspects, and hopefully I'll be able to put up some videos looking at my challenge, try and read more Black authors. Because again, there's like so many other stories out there that kind of I need to read, I need to discover, and I need to lose myself in. And again, if there's anyone out there who knows of any other amazing Black authors, or any other amazing books out there by Black authors, just let me know. Let me know in the comment section below, and I will try and kind of work my way through them and try and read as much as I can, and to try and discover as much as I can as well. So hopefully you will have found this video interesting. Hopefully you'll be intrigued by kind of what I end up reading as part of this challenge. And I'll see you all in the next video. Bye bye.